Hello. This, ugh. My name is Alex or whatever, and today I wanted to actually have like a kind of a chit chat video thing while I color in this edgy drawing. It's not like, I don't know if it really counts as edgy, but it is relating to horror and has kind of, and uses song lyrics as part of the design, but like, whatever. Yeah. This is, an illustration of some characters from a comic I'm developing called Rose of Jericho, which is a revenge story about this character named Viviana, who is resurrected after, who's resurrected to take her revenge on a person who ruined her life, which is who you see here. His name is Braden. Because he's kind of like, the stereotypical, like douchey high school boy type. And believe me, what he does is actually awful. So he deserves to be, knifed. Trust me. But, yeah, so I'm just gonna be drawing and coloring and talking about stuff. So, let me get my color chart out and we'll get started. I lost my train of thought. How fun. Yeah, wow, I did not expect to be this bad at this. I've been wanting to, like, actually try this whole YouTube thing for a while, and I've never had the confidence to do it, but I was watching other artists' videos while I was drawing and inking this, and I just thought, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna actually do it today. And by it, I mean record a video and talk and stuff, which is the kind of art videos I like watching, and is the kind I want to make, so yeah. Oh, I guess what I should do, since this is my first video talking, is tell y'all a little bit about myself. Well, my name is Alex, short for Alexander. I'm 20 years old. I'm a graphic design student. I'm in my third year of a 2-year graphic design degree, because, the pandemic has been hard on everyone, especially me, and I had to, like, break down my workload to, be able to actually pass my classes and whatnot, and also just some classes I needed to take but didn't have the time for. It's a mess, but, and I'm a comic book artist, self-proclaimed, I guess. I hope to be professional someday, and I've focused mainly on horror comics, as you can see. Horror's been kind of like a thing I've loved for a long time. It's something I find very calming in a weird way, kind of like therapeutic. That's not the right word, but it's a comfort genre for me, for a lot of different reasons, both for like nostalgia purposes, for inspirational purposes, bunch of stuff. My I currently, eh, working on like a bunch of different comics. This is one of them, though this is more in the like preliminary planning stages. And I'm working on one right now that I have written completely, and I'm currently drawing it, called Cold Cut. It is a kind of a murder mystery detective story. Yeah. What color am I going for here? My mind is blanking. I thought I had this whole thing planned, but I do not. That's the color I want. Okay. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, comics. And my comics specifically. I'm also, not only do I make comics, but I'm currently trying to run a comics magazine with my sister, called Eek, which is what both my comic Cold Cut and this comic, Rose of Jericho, is going to be published in, hopefully, eventually, one day. My sister and I have been collaborating on works for friggin' years now, and we actually are trying for this one, if that makes sense. I'll keep you all updated on that if you want. Yeah. But I think I'll talk about this story a bit more, since it's, it's relevant. This story is about this girl, Viviana, who goes to a Catholic high school. That is important. And she is probably like the only one of her peers who is actually Catholic but not a jerk, and he doesn't believe in all of the the hate that gets spread around by the teachers and the church and stuff like that. Because probably a lot of people like me, probably like some of you, if you're like me, have only heard bad things about the church, specifically the Catholic Church. Which stinks for the people who are kind of forced into it at a young age. But that was not the right color for her skin, but whatever. I will do my best to lighten it up. But one day, this boy here that you see, this jerk, I only discuss him as the monster, because that's what he is. Does a big no-no to her and ruins her life, and it breaks her down in a sad way, unfortunately. And both ruins and leads to the end of her life. I don't want to get into details because it's sad and upsetting, but yeah. If you can read between my weird wavy lines, then you understand what I'm talking about. And I'm sorry that you understand. But when she passes, she goes to heaven and meets God themselves. Side note, I'm not good at words. But when she is, she meets literally God, and they tell Viviana that, because of how good she was as a person in life, she will be granted the power to exact her revenge on the people who hurt her. So she does that. She comes back as, you know, as kind of like a zombie, which is why I tried to color in her skin a bit more blue, but I used the wrong color blue in this image. And she goes after her killer, essentially. And right before he can repeat his crime, she catches him, takes him down, and she's able to rest peacefully and not haunt the earth as a wandering spirit or whatever. I don't actually know anything about Catholicism, by the way. I did look up, though, like, what the, I looked up, like, what the rules on revenge are in Christianity and Catholicism, because it has that vibe that's, like, you're not supposed to do it, and I was right, you're not, but they specifically say in scripture that, that you're not supposed to take revenge because God will take revenge for you, I think. Again, I'm not a Christian or a Catholic. I wasn't raised with any religion. I don't know this stuff, but that's what I read, so I thought. So this made me think, in theory, then, God could, like, give someone the ability, if that's their plan, you know? That makes sense? So God's plan for revenge is to let her take her own revenge. That's what I'm trying to say. Though I know that some people might, if you're like me and you already know comics quite a bit, that sounds a lot like the plot to The Crow, and you're right. Cause, oops, I messed up again. That's fine though. Because one of the catalysts to me developing this story was finally getting my hands on the original Crow comic, reading it and thinking, this would make a lot more sense from the character Shelley's perspective, if she was the Crow and not her boyfriend Eric. And I still stand by that. It's still a heartbreaking, emotional story about loss. And it is, like, you know, it talks a lot about how, like, revenge is never good, in a way. Like, it's hard to justify revenge, because it's just an endless cycle. And bad and sad and stuff, but I think the person who should have gotten their revenge was Shelley, not Eric, because, well, if you know the story, even if you've seen the movie, you'd probably agree as well, because a similar thing happens in it. Basically, it's the same thing, just in a different location from the movie and the comic. And yeah, basically both Eric and Shelley die. That's not really a spoiler because it's the first act, it's the inciting incident. But Eric dies first, and then Shelley, in both iterations. So I think the person who saw their partner die, and then suffer before dying, would have more of a reason to enact revenge than the guy who died first and wasn't able to help, I guess, if that makes sense. But it's still a good story. I still like it. The movie is still heartbreaking because of the story behind it. And the art in the comic is beautiful as well. I'm a big sucker for ink, like pen and ink drawing, so it'll always draw me into a comic, even if it's not really a topic I like. But lucky for me, Crow is like almost everything on like my list of likes. It's horror, it's a comic, it has ink drawings, and it has a very like gothic aesthetic. Like goth subculture, not gothic like the architectural style. Because there is a difference, kind of. And definitely not goth as in like Visigoth. It's like the people who ransacked Rome. That is a very small, short way of describing them, but yeah. Not the historical group called the Goths. I mean, like, the kind of people who listen to, goth music and, like, post-punk and new wave. You know, that subculture. What colors am I going for here? Red. Yep, those rosary beads would look a lot nicer if I hadn't colored over them. But what can you do, right? On the bright side, this isn't like I'm trying to touch up a famous painting and I messed up. This is just a page in my sketchbook. Just to get down a character dynamic and use a song lyric I really like. Which, by the way, is from the song Horrible by the band Jack Off Jill. They're a really good band. So, if you like cool, like, again, gothic music, kind of. More like goth-themed, if that makes sense. But still has like a punk edge to it. Kind of like punk metal-ish. Really good band. I like them a lot. They're known, I've heard some people call them riot goth, which is a mixture between goth and riot girl music, which is a subsect of punk that is specifically based in third wave feminism. Another genre I love. Literally how I got into this whole punk shebang, other than like listening to the Ramones as a kid, but that's about it. And like Green Day, and they're good bands, but it didn't start until I got into the whole feminism thing, which I'm glad I did. It's important to learn about that stuff, at least to me. Like, if you had to ask my opinion, yeah. Even though the shirt's white, I'm shading it with blue because it makes it more dynamic than just gray. I think in the future with my channel and whatnot, I want to do more videos like this, as I said. And I want to like, I want to try to do like art challenges as well. Not only because I know that they're entertaining to a lot of people, but also because, I want to, like, flex my style a bit. I want to stretch my art muscles and whatnot. I'll figure out how to draw eventually. Maybe, someday, if I'm lucky. Speaking of drawing and myself, I've actually been drawing for, actually 11 years now. If you had asked me a couple weeks ago, I would have said 10 years, but it's 2022 now, so that makes it 11 years. Who'd have thunk? Yeah, I started when I was in, like, 5th grade, when I was 10, because, kind of a mixture of things happened. My sister gave me a bunch of her old manga, specifically Naruto. I know a lot, how obscure, how rare. Oh my gosh, he read Naruto? Artiste. I apologize for the sarcasm. I do genuinely like Naruto, and I think it's a good starter manga. But yeah, it inspired me a lot, and it got me into drawing, and then kind of started wanting to get into comics, because a bunch of kids in my class were reading, like, Stickman comics. And webcomics and stuff like that. So that made me kind of want to do comics. But I didn't actually decide or, like, figure out that it was really what I wanted to do until, like, senior year of high school, which is a bit too late. Because I see so many artists now. I don't want to sound like an old baby boomer, but I see a lot of younger artists that are really, really good, and they're at a similar level to me, even though they're so much younger. But, you know, that's not a bad thing. That's a really good thing, I think. I think it's great. Of course, you know, I wish I could have as well. Like, I wish I could have gotten to that point sooner rather than later. But, you know, we all move differently. We're all exposed to different things at different times, and that's okay. I lost my train of thought again. I know it was about younger artists, but brain fart. I'm recording this at, like, almost midnight. I think it's actually after midnight. It is. It is almost 12:30. Wowza. But yeah, younger artists. My brain will get back there eventually. Yeah, but I see a bunch of younger artists. Their art's really good, and they inspire me so much, like, to do this kind of stuff, like, to put myself out there and whatnot, even though that had nothing to do with what I was saying before, but whatever. I can't figure it out now, so I'll just keep going with something else. Screw it. I apologize again if I'm quiet, because I'm not used to this yet. And I've already been, like, talked to about, my, like, weird kind of habit of talking to myself. I realize that I talk without, realizing it, and I'm louder than I think, so that's fun, but... Not like, I don't know, it's not like I hear voices and I repeat, like, I talk back to them, but it's like, I have, like, a funny quote stuck in my head, and I say it back to myself. There's a word for that. I think it's echolalia. I don't know, it's a mental health thing. Which makes sense because I am a person with mental health and mental health issues. Oh yeah, that's something I could talk about. I'm an artist on the autistic spectrum. So that's a thing. That's something I do want to talk about, because I think it's important. I know I totally wish that there were more artists that, like, I know that if there were artists who are autistic when I was a kid, or at least ones that were, like, talking about it, then I would have felt a lot better about myself. But, you know, you can't change history. And I'm glad with how I turned out, so, you know. But I want to be that for someone else. So I'm gonna mention it, I'm gonna talk about it, and if someone yells at me about it, I'm not gonna shut up. Because, screw it. I don't know. I'm not hurting anyone by talking about it. Yet again, I had a point to what I was saying and I forgot it. I need to work on that. But, I guess on that note of me being autistic, that, hopefully that explains a bit of my behavior. Maybe not excuse it, obviously. That makes it sound like I'm doing something wrong with, but to explain why I might stutter, why I might talk quieter, why I make certain decisions in my art, like why I will probably have, like, a big chunk of these kinds of videos, and then a big chunk of these kinds of videos, etc., etc. Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see how this trend progresses. But, you know, just something I think should be kept in mind as I go forward in my content creation. What color am I looking for? I'm looking for something. Oh, while I'm looking, I'll just tell you, I'm using Ohuhu markers and Spectra markers. These ones. I got them on sale at a local art store. So, and I taped my swatch sheets together like a little booklet. I'm currently trying to use up my 120 marker set. I was surprised this last Crimbus with a 216 marker set because I am lucky to have parents who are supportive of my art. But I realized I had a lot of like full markers that I need to use up. So I'm gonna use all of those up first before cracking open the other one. So, yeah. 7, I think, is the color I want. If I can find it. I think that might be the one that's like stuck in a bag. Yes, it is. Because I was using a bunch of greens and I kept them out so I can use them later, and then I finished using them, but there was one I hadn't used. And it was BG7. A beautiful blue-green. Forest green is the name. Not that that matters, but you know. Cool little factoid, I guess. Yeah, one thing I'm gonna probably do as like a goal for this year as an artist is to get better at drawing patterns. Because that's something I cannot do properly. As you can see here, that is supposed to be tartan. But it doesn't really look like it. But that's okay. It's a starting point. And you get the gist. And that's what matters. Yeah, I'll go with that one. Yeah, that works. It's a good shade. I'm kind of... Lately in my art, I've been experimenting with a coloring style I have gotten inspired by another artist on YouTube who goes by Ultramay and Ultramay Art, because they have 2 channels. And they're really cool. They have this really, like, vibrant color style. And they did a tutorial on it. It's really good. But I'm trying to do it, but then also trying to do it in my own way. I don't know. But if you run in the same circles as them, well, that's not what I mean. But, like, if you know their art style, you probably already recognized it. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to steal it. I'm trying to take inspiration. I will do my best to change it as much as I can as I progress, but I'm still learning. Hold on, I'll take a break for a second and see if there's any examples in my sketchbook of that looks better. To prove that I kind of know something. Oh, yes. Here. My phone is on a weird stand. I'll just pick you up. Here. This, is a drawing of Red Hood from the DC universe. Because I'm helping my friend with a fan comic featuring Red Hood in it, and this is a much better example of my coloring style. This is what I want to do with it, but I can't do it consistently yet. But, you know, each drawing is progress, you know? That's an important note for people to remember. That I think is important. And I wish I had known sooner. Then I wouldn't have felt bad about all my shitty drawings. Because we all have, like, a gajillion bad drawings in us. We just gotta get rid of them sooner. That is a horrible abbreviation of a quote by another artist. Please note that. I remember the YouTuber Let Me Explain Studios mentioned it in one of her like college sketchbook videos, and that's good inspiration that I have. It's a good quote that I keep with me a lot. So, and I just think it's a good quote to remember, because it's true. Like, we're always gonna have bad art days, but it's a lot healthier to see it as a place of growth, or a place for growth, rather than a reason to doubt yourself, or a reason to hate yourself. Because if you recognize that it's not the way you want it to be, then you know what you should change in the future, and how you can make your art better, and make it how you want it to be. I realize I say that as I'm coloring in a kid's pants, but, like, whatever. And yes, that is something that should be noted, is that these are both high schoolers. So no inappropriate drawings of them. Okay? There will be nothing inappropriate. Just, I wanted to illustrate that this is at the worst time for him. So, he's not only being murdered, but is also embarrassed, you know? Which I think is good revenge. I don't know. I say that like I've exacted revenge before. Ironically, I'm not really one for revenge. I think there are much healthier ways to go about things. Like therapy. But maybe it's maybe it's like the punk in me, or maybe it's the person who was supposed to be an emo kid but never really lived it up to the potential part of me that likes the idea of revenge. But I don't know, there's something just like a little bit satisfying about revenge stories. Maybe because I used to like plan like petty revenges against bullies because I was bullied, but you know, I would never do it. And I think now if I had done it, I would have regretted it, because it wouldn't have made me any better of a person. But there is something about it, that like catharsis, that resolution, that the idea of revenge could bring. That is nice, but yeah. think I'm gonna go stereotypical here. I was trying to figure out what pattern I should do for his shorts, but like right now it just kind of looks like he's pulling a trash bag over his pants, but in order to note that these are his undershorts, I'm gonna do the little heart thing on them. Like in the cartoons. I wonder where that came from. Like the heart-shaped pattern. I don't know. Probably there was like a popular type of boxer in the like around the start of cartoons, and you know, it was just kind of like good visual shorthand because it was recognizable, but now it's only known as just a motif is not the right word. It's visual shorthand in cartoons now, if that makes sense. One thing to expect from this channel is that I will not shut up about history, and the history of art, and the history of comics, and all that fun jazz. Because I find that fascinating. And that brings it around as proof as to why it's important that y'all know that I'm autistic. Because that is an autism thing. It is one of my special interests. The other one being art. I think that's just about it. I might just throw in a color in the background, and I'll be good. Wow, this video went a lot longer than I thought. It is at 36 minutes and counting. Ooh, almost 37. Wow. At least that's a good YouTube time, if my memory is correct. So that's pretty good. I might go with like maybe a lighter red. No, but then that'll just make that blend in. I would go for an orange, but that would blend in with her hair and his skin. Ooh, I'll go with like, no, never mind. I was gonna go with a gray, but her sweater's gray and his pants are gray. So, maybe I'll just leave it for now. I don't know. Well, I guess that's that then. Thank you for watching, and I appreciate it if you put up with my annoyances for this long. Wow, anyone at this mark is a real trooper. Thank you so much. Oh, an awkwardly shadowed hand heart goes out to all of you. Yeah. Thank you again. If you liked, then like. If you want to see more, then subscribe. I think that's the thing to do. If I'm gonna take this seriously, I'm gonna take it seriously. Excuse me. And, yeah. Hope y'all have a good day. I hope to see you next time, and I would love to hear, ideas and feedback. And no, that is not just a thing to fish for comments. I genuinely want feedback because I have no idea what I'm gonna do. Yeah. So, bye!